and the evolution of these words. But when we have things mixed up like this, then we also have the things that's mixed up, like my beloved sister said, direct reflections. I agree. It is direct reflections. But it's direct reflections of the mothers, because whatever is going on with the mother is going on wrong with everybody else. So the key the place where you start, if you are a researcher, you trying to find where is the problem in the line. And the line has a problem with the mother. So, yes, an apology is good to the brother. That's acceptable, but the apology, in my opinion, is also to the ancient mothers, for we have really come off of the square when it comes to recognizing who we are, that we are calling ourselves that we came from a man now. So to me, it's very critical that we start to get back to where we can begin to fixing everything. And I'm saying that it's with the mothers. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't mean that it's not with anyone else. But what I'm saying is that the mother is contaminated. That's why they want to protect mothers. If she have an STD, then more than likely the child will have an STD. So all of the issues that we are looking at right now in this society is because it comes from a mother. It was from some mother. So we have to fix the mothership. And then once we fix the mothership, everything else will fall into place.
Well, yes, ma'am, that was basically what I'm saying. But also, you don't have to be necessarily a mother to give birth. I can be a woman, and if my mental womb is tainted, I can still give birth to actions that can affect the man negatively. So what we want to do is get the mind of the woman right before she physically becomes a mother, before she physically gives birth, because if your mind is not right, the rest of you isn't right. So I want to appeal to those, who are mothers, but I want to appeal to those who aren't mothers as well, because by our actions, by our thoughts, by our ways, our mentality, we give birth several different ways. It's not a physical labor. We have a lot of mental labor as well, and the way we think can be just defective. The way we think can birth a stillborn, a non-productive thought. So we have to get the mentality right of women overall.
Yes, I agree with you that the mother's mentality has to be right, and birth is not in the actual birthing process. It's in the thought process. So before any of that factor has to take place, and I believe that is what you're saying too, is that almost like we need to start a whole new type of evolution, orientation to the thought of what is a mother, because we all come here as mothers. We already come here as mothers. We have 1 million eggs when we get here. So we already have a nation that we are ready to birth when we come to this planet.
Right, and I think...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, when I thought about the topic, gender wars, and I see the conversations that take place on my Najma Flex page on Facebook, and honestly, I see a lot of women doing a lot of womb flexing. A lot of women want to tell brothers, well, you need to respect the black woman because without her, you wouldn't be here. But I'm like, okay, but yes, we have a womb, but if it wasn't for the seed of life, what will we cultivate? You know what I'm saying? So even in my mind, I have to have an idea planted before I can give birth. So we can't be so arrogant to tell a black man or men, period, without you, there's no us. Because without a seed, what can we cultivate? What can grow inside of us? So we have to, while we want them to respect the womb of life, we have to also pay homage to the seed of life. And we kind of get it twisted sometimes. And, we always want brothers to respect the wombs that bore them, but we don't always respect what we bear from our wombs.
And that's where
right.
we
It's
start.
like anything that doesn't have a seed is in the sense of a hybrid or frankenfood. It's like people around here eating grapes with no seed. That's not good. Why would you eat grapes? Anything that does not have a seed is no good, which brings us back to the law of polarity. So when I hear this type of teaching that I'm hearing now, and then I hear brothers themselves calling them own selves degenerate, as was with the show that we had a while back, which Melanin Sutek we'll bring on later when Natural Tahuti was on. Brothers calling them own selves degenerates and infestations of a woman or of a mother. It bothers me highly because evidently we do not understand the laws of the universe. We don't understand the laws of the universe. You cannot, and even if you go to the pantheon of the gods, when you read those stories, it's always male and female. This is the God. This is the Kemetic creation stories. The first God of creation was Ptah. So when we disrespect the male or the masculine energy to the point that we'll never get it together. We will never have the harmony or the peace that we so desire, because there is balance on this side of the universe. It has to be.
Well, there go that word balance again. Here it comes. Let me say
something about balance. Let me say something about this, because this is the second or third time you brought that up. The Know Thyself radio show, from its inception, it has nothing to do with this dialogue. That's what we started with, a balance. The Know Thyself radio network was built off of creating balance, about being on the square, about bringing the seven natural laws. So you're going to hear me talk balance, and you will always hear me talk balance. Not just this subject, any subject I'm going to tell you balance. That's with everything.
Right, and it's very important that we have balance, and I'm not inciting that there should not be balance. That's the only way that we can continue to have what we need within our own self, is that we have our higher self and our lower self. So, yes, balance is very critical in what we're saying. However, what I'm suggesting is that when it comes to conversations that are about uplifting the mothers, then that word balance seems to always come in, and that's why I'm challenging that. Is that I'm challenging that word balance as to it is something that you see something happen over and over and over again, and you're like, okay, well, why does this word keep coming up every time this conversation come up? This is a part of the growth factor to say, okay, balance. Okay, why does this have to come up whenever we say that it's the mother who has to do what she needs to do? I'm not saying that no one has to do this. It's going to be the mother. She has to do it. Nobody got to do it for her. She can't look outside of herself to nobody else. Me as a mother, I can't look out and say, my brother Warren, it's your responsibility. I can't blame you. I can't do anything. It is only going to be up to every mother to uplift their own antennas, to lift up themselves, because when she lifts up, everyone else lifts up, is what I'm saying. And so it has to be, the awakening has to start somewhere. There's no way that we can keep saying that we need to start over here. You start with, we go back. That's what I'm saying. Let's travel down to the problem. Let's get to the root of the matter. The matter is the matter. Well, that is the mother. She is the matter. So that's what I'm saying, is that we got to get to the root of this entire issue, is what we're talking about now. We want to go back and use some of the concepts of male and female. That's cool. We can do that. But it still lies with the mother, because if you don't straighten her up, it ain't going to never matter what else get happening. It's going to fall by the wayside.
May I say something? May I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
Of course.
Okay. I'm just speaking from my experience. I want to touch on 2 points. Okay. This seems to be the issue when it comes to black women and accountability. As mothers, we only want to take credit for the good. We don't want to take credit for the bad. It's like if you're in a home ran by a single mother, if the child turns out wonderful, straight A's, it's because the mother was there. But that same mother could be there And if the child turns out and is on a path of the destructive behavior, then it's the father's fault. So this is what we can't play around with certain things. I'm not speaking to you personally. I'm speaking about personal dialogue that I've engaged in. We want to say that mothers are the source of everything until I point out that we are the source of everything. So that encompasses the good and bad. Like, we can't take credit for the good black men and then treat the so-called black men like they're bastards or stepchildren. They're all coming from the same womb. You see what I'm saying? And I find out that whenever I speak on black women accountability, balance comes in, but we really don't want to be balanced. We want to be unbalanced, because when that scale starts tipping and we're not in a favorable light, if I'm talking about the things that we've done, then all of a sudden we want balance. But that scale could tip over, hit the ground, go into the earth, do whatever with a black man, and we will not scream for balance at all. We will tell him, you have to do it. You have to do it by yourself. But when it comes to us, you think French was our native language because we get to talking to we real quick. Well, we need to do this. We need to do this. So a lot of us don't really want balance. We don't really cry or scream for balance when we're put in a hot seat and it makes us uncomfortable. So in my conversations, balance with black women really means unbalance. Really means take a little of these rocks off my side of the scale and put it back on his. Because I'd rather his weight be higher than mine. I don't want to take all this by myself. I'll give it all to him, but I don't want to be accountable for my part. So you're dealing with black women who don't want to be accountable for their part, but also want to take part of everything that's good. Like I said, you can't say mothers are the source of everything and then not take ownership of the source of everything. You can't say that we are the mothers of civilization but then want to disregard the uncivilized. You see what I'm saying? So that's my commentary, my little take on balance. And, you know, it's hard to tell black women anything about themselves. It's very, very difficult because we have developed such a sense of we're just become so arrogant. Like it's hard, and it's difficult for a man, because the first thing we'll tell a man is, oh, you're not a woman. But you can't tell me that because I am a woman. So your usual deflective tactics that you can, you know, say with the man, you can't say that to me because it's not going to work. Because I am a woman. I know how we can be. I know how we are. And I know how we have been. And I know how we will continue to be if we don't start working on ourselves. If we stop looking across the room at them. Stop looking across the room at the men. Stop telling them what they need to do. Focus on what we need to do, because what if the men get themselves together? They're going to come back to the same type of black woman? How productive is that? So we have to learn how to deal with us as women. We got to stay in our own lane, got to stay in our own class. You know, I'm not saying it happened, I have never heard, you know, a black man try to tell a woman how she should be. Like, you're a man. What do you know about being a woman? Like, I'm a woman. I'm not going to tell a black man what he needs to do or how he should be. My life as a black woman is totally different from a black man. I have a son. I can't raise him into be something that I'm not. But we have these, you know, women that are trying to take on these masculine energy and think that they actually can be men and women. This is why you have women say, oh, I'm the mother and the father. No, if you have a uterus, you're one. You're a mother. It's that simple. But we make it complicated. And then we will tell black men, hey, we don't need you, and then turn right around and condemn you for your absence, and then not even see the hypocrisy in that. So a lot of these gender wars come about because we as black women have declared war on you all. And now you're fighting back because you're tired. You're tired of being the scapegoat. You're tired. We've become like everybody else. We blame it on the black man. Oh, he did it. It's his fault. Blame it on him. That gets tiring after a while. We can't keep telling you we don't want you, we don't love you, we don't need you, and then get upset when you're with women that don't look like us. Because telling you we don't want you doesn't motivate you to want us. We don't understand cause and effect. We only focus on the effect, but we don't understand that we're the cause of a lot of things. So until we're able to embrace that, acknowledge that, repair, and be responsible for it, we're going to always be in the same condition. Because unless we as women change our mentality, we're going to keep giving birth to generations of unaccountable, victim crying, unapologetic, above reproach black women.
Wow. That is, and that's basically, I love everything you just said, because it comes back to knowing the self, know thyself. And it makes me think about a scripture in the New Testament which talks about getting the mote out of your eye, and we're getting the beam out of your eye rather than trying to get the mote out of your brother's eye. And the way I look at this thing, you talk about Willie Lynch, and Willie Lynch, when you go back to the Willie Lynch letters, there was an automatic, whether the letter was true or not, it is true as far as what happened. There is an automatic talk in that letter about separation. It talks about separating. And then when you get the idea of independent black woman, and we had to go through all these songs and all this stuff that we sitting back looking at, because basically I think for the most part, as a majority as a whole, black men understood, and we've been understanding a lot of this stuff long time ago. We had a different aspect than any other culture toward our female energy. We love our female counterpart. But at the same time, we had the feminist movement back in the 60s, which was basically highly European. And the sisters stepped and got involved in that movement. And what was so powerful, because men are warriors, we are builders. We are the builders and the warriors in this world. And that's why it's hard for me to accept this concept of talking around every female as my mother, because I can't think of that way. But we are the builders in this world, and the phallus, and which I'll get back into the phallus in a minute, because you can't have one without the other. That's the balance. But what I was basically about to say was this. Men were the one who were on the forefront. We had to go out, and we had to protect the family. We had to bring in the bread, and we had to do these type of things. So it was not easy. But the sprint, just to show you how powerful a woman is, or a mother, or whatever word you want to use, she held it together by her words, by the way she knew how to talk to the man, by the way she knew how to comfort him. She was able to get up every morning and go out there and deal with that. But then there was a shift where something happened. All of a sudden, now she was going to the boardroom. She was making all the money. And all of a sudden it was, I don't need you anymore. And then to go through all of that and still not have an acceptance or an apology, and then turn around and say, well, now, I'm God, you're my child, and I'm God by myself, I'm the whole universe, and you're not. What do you think that sounds like to the black man? It sounds like further insult. That's what it sounds like.
Brother Warren.
Well, what I would like to add to what you all were just saying is that I agree with you, Sister Najma, about taking credit for the good and the bad, so to speak, if there is really a good and bad, but because the conversation good and bad. Then, because that's still saying, that's taking the full responsibility. Now, I don't assume that a place like Know Thyself Radio is going to be for the masses of the people, because this is not the conversation that the masses of the people really want to dialogue about.
Right.
Most of the people who are calling in on this type of conversation are people who have reached some level of understanding for themselves. So we already realized that we can't, it's not about saving, it's about those who want to know and those who are wanting to go to higher degrees of learning. So I'm saying that because I know there's not language for a regular old sister who is walking up in juicing suit and getting her fingernails done, her nails, and her pedicures. It's not her conversation. She may not want to take that, be responsible for the good and the bad. But this is a conversation about those of us who want to elevate and really get to the root of the matter, which, again, is the mother. So in looking at that, it is the mother. Yes, the mothers have been taking their advice from mostly men, because it has been this patriarchal society. It's been totally men ran. So you have religion that has put their stamp on it, and mostly religion is being dominated and ran by men. Mostly any high supreme areas of this society is being ran by men. So there are lots of men who are telling women about how they should be women. I have even heard brothers lecture on what the woman's menses is, and even how it feels. So there are lots of men who are telling the mothers what they should do and how their lives should be ran. So, but it's us now who should come to the sisterhood, to the motherhood, and say, here are the things that we need to do to get in order. In order for us to be able to run this nation, this is what we need to do among ourselves. Not to say that we are isolating the brothers, but when you are tasking, if you have ever been on any kind of strategic teams, then you know you have to separate things. You can't put it all in the basket together. You can't say, go back and look at how we integrated. We integrated. Okay, so we integrated, we lost everything. Why? Because you can't do all of those things at the same time. You have to do things in degrees, and that is why I'm suggesting that everything has to come back to the responsibility of the mother. She is the one who would change it all. Basically, we can do it overnight if we believe that, if we really start to find out and know the powers that we possess, we can really do some amazing things.
Well, I'm not arguing that point. I've never argued that point. The power of the feminine energy is very, very powerful, as with Sister Najma Muhammad. Now, Sister Najma, what I like about her, and she's wielding her power already just through her conversation, just through the way she puts it out there, because everything, even in battle, let me put it this way, you have to be wise in how you wield a certain thing. And if you wield it in a wise way, one thing. Let me even say this about male and female relationships to show you just how powerful a sister is. A sister, yes, she has the power, but there is a equal submission. Not you got to submit to me and I don't submit to no man. This is the kind of stuff that I hear that's supposed to be around consciousness, around people. What are the messages that we're relaying? There's a equal submission in a true relationship of harmony. Now, one thing about a man, when a man sees a woman submitting to him, it's already in his will or his authority to do whatever she wants to do, and she can be so cold and turn around and have him doing what she wants to do, and he'll make him think it's his idea. This is the thing that I'm talking about. We have to have wisdom in whatever we do. Yes, there's no problem with the mothers getting together and dealing with their problems. There's no problem with understanding how powerful the mothers is, or this is the time for the mother to step forward. I don't have any problem with that. But some of the things that I'm hearing, especially when you say I'm the mother and all the male entities are the children, what kind of, as you talk about the power of words, me, myself, personally, I'm a warrior. So I can't be everybody's child. I'm a man. I'm a full-grown man. And so when we do this, we already have a situation that is sweeping our nation with homosexuality. And this is supposed to be normal. This is not normal. But if this is the attitude or the mindset that we begin to take on, then what does it leave you? Even some of the words that we say in rap. I'm going to my homeboy's crib. I'm going to my crib. That's my boy. These are the issues that we have. We should not be quoted these things as we want to get back into words. So, we're going to have to get ready for the second hour of the show, Sister Najma.
Well, hey, before we go, though, brother, I just want to say now, look, now, you may not have done this, but some of the brothers have. I've been called this before myself. Hey, come on, mama, come on, hang out with me, or come on, mama, so that's a pet name, too. So, it is not nothing strange about a consort calling one another, calling his significant mama. That's all right with me. I'm okay with being called mama.
There's a difference between mama and mother. There's a big difference. And then again, we're saying the energy that you put behind the word. You say mama, he didn't say mother. So there's a difference between that. So, but you know,
I mean, and some of us involved ourselves with incestuous type relationships because we wanna try to be a man's mother and his girl and his woman. We don't, you know what I mean? Like we don't know how to be just his woman sometimes. Like, you know, you have women that are so controlling, like they'll tell the man exactly when he can do this, when he can do that, and then say, oh, I have a little boy. But you're acting like his mother. You see what I'm saying? So it just, the connotation is what I think we get a little confused on.
Okay, all right. Well, we're getting ready to go. Sister Najma, are you going to have to go, or are you going to be able to stay for the second half of questions, or you got to go, or
no, I am going to have to go. As you know, I had some things take place over the weekend, so I have to take care of some things. But I definitely want to have more time. Like this hour just went by so quickly, but I want to come when I can stay for the full 2 hours.
Okay. Well, we're going to have a part 2 of this next week. So,
okay.
Just to let you know ahead of time, there will be a part 2. And I hate to see you run, and I'm glad that you stopped by tonight, the information that you dropped for us. And you have any last words?
Yes, I just say thank you for this, inviting me for the show. It's always a good time. I love our energy, and nice to meet the sister, your co-host. Love her energy as well. And you know, these are the conversations that we have to have. It's necessary. You know, we have to, when you think about labor, you think about the pain, you think about the process of labor, but once you give birth, all that pain that you felt becomes insignificant because you're looking at what you produce. So this is where we have to go. We have to go through a hard labor with one another so we can produce beautiful relationships, so we can produce functional relationships, so we can produce healthy relationships, so we can have a guide for our children. You know, most of us don't know because we didn't have a guide on our parents, but that can't be an excuse. That can't be our crutch because there are ways that we can learn how to better ourselves. So these conversations have to be repetitive. They have to be had so that we can have better functioning relationships. And I invite you all to check out my Facebook page, Najma Reflects. I'm going to have some exciting news posting in a week or so. So please check that out. And again, thank you for having me on the show. And like, I have to come when it's 2 hours because the first hours go by so quickly.
All right, sister. Well, it was a pleasure having you on the show as usual. And you have a good night. I hope you get your situation taken care of.
Yeah. Peace and love.
All right. Peace, beloved.
Peace. All right, we're going to take a break. I see you all the lines are lighting up, and I know you all people want to have something to say, and I'm going to give you all an opportunity to talk. But we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and get ready for the goddess, Melody Suche. I just love balance, Ice Cube and Yo-Yo, and I know maybe some don't approve too much, but I like Jay-Z and Beyonce. I like when I see that connection together like that. But before I bring my next guest on, I want to share with you all the Memphite creation story. And the story of Ptah is one of the oldest stories in the world. It explains how the physical universe was created through the eyes of the ancient Kemites, and it explains how human beings came into existence from the spirit realm. The name Ptah is interpreted the overlord of two lands. He supports the heavens and the earth. The aspect of Ptah brings us into the physical realm and out of the physical realm. Ptah is the aspect of Osar, or Osiris, as the Greeks call it. Osiris is the lord of perfect black, meaning the lord of eternity. Ptah is sometimes painted green to represent vegetation. He is sometimes painted blue to represent the Nile, and black to represent the blackness, which represents that which all things come from. Osiris is the regeneration state of life. He sustains life. So let's take a look at the obelisk, which represents the male phallus, which keeps physical creation going. It spiritually represented the phallus that sustains the whole universe. Ptah is the aspect of the soul that brings everything into existence along with his wife, Sekhmet. The ancient Egyptians always understood that it took two of anything to come into completion. You have two stages and then the third, which is the final stage. Ptah and his wife, Sekhmet, turned Nun or Nun, which is the primeval waters, into Nunet, which is the heavens or space. Primeval waters are the chaos and the heavens are the order. Hu is balance and Huhet sets boundaries that created time and space. Kuk is the darkness and Kuket is the light. Amun, which is the hidden, and Amanet, which is the manifest. These are all 8 children in the ancient Memphite creation story. They all represent from Ptah to Sekhmet to Nefertum, which means beautiful completion. From these 8 children, we have the 8 stages of creation. The number 8 represents the physical universe. Now, look at the number 8. Even the number 8 is what? 2 zeros stacked on each other. 8 is the number of infinity. The God force behind the 8 turns it into a 9, which is coming into completion or coming out of it, coming into the physical realm or coming out of the physical realm. Ptah represents the thought power, and Sekhmet, his wife, represents the action behind the thought. These 2 stages then become Nefertum. When we came here from the spirit realm, we had the thought to come into the physical realm. But we had to come through nature. And this is when our parents got together. From the thought power, from the spirit, combined with nature, brought us into the 3rd dimension. We ourselves actually chose to come into the realm, as we actually also chose the gateway of interest, which is Ptah. Ptah is the aspect of the soul that makes the whole physical realm exist. Ptah's wife, Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess, is the dynamic power of nature. For together, they are the duality of nature. The passion and the love, the pain and the hatred, all of this represents Sekhmet. And Ptah, being the mind behind it, is the spiritual aspect of non-duality, which lives through all dual aspects. Now, how this story directly relates to us is that none of these characters physically existed outside of us. They all are aspects of us. Ptah is the physical builder of the universe. He can be seen as the aspect of you that wants to build up your body, your character, or your spirit. Sekhmet can be the part of you that actually get it done. From the masculine thought, Sekhmet is the part of you that makes you eat right, work out, and educate yourself. Everything is done in 3 parts. You can think about something all day, but you actually have to manifest it through action in this 3rd dimension. This is the power of Sekhmet. Thought, action, and completion is the Trinity. The Ankh, man, woman, and child. Man is the logic, woman is the spirit, and those 2 produce or manifest a complete state. Everything must be dealt with in the logical mind first. Then it is brought into your heart, which is your passion. And from those 2, you have completion. The Ankh is a combination of the masculine and the feminine, the phallus and the vagina, which keeps all creation going within human beings. The positive and the negative keep all creation going throughout the universe. And that is the Memphite creation story. And we're getting ready for the goddess Sutet tonight. And one thing I like about this sister is under the sign of Libra. And I guess she has her scales, and she's bringing her scales with her tonight, all the way from the NYC. None other than Sister Melanin Sutet. How you doing tonight, sister?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to have you here. And the last time you were on my show, which was January, I got the date, which was January the 20th, 2013. It was some energy that was just that was one of the most high-po shows that I did. And it got a lot of people's attention, and that went back to the post that you put up to, which was Death to the Black Woman is God. And that brought a lot of energy in. I mean, it was like wow that night. And my question is beginning, what made you decide to put that post up on YouTube when you first put it up?
Well, it was actually hard to do because I knew that it would cause some friction within the conscious community. And, so it took a lot out of me to do it also to think about the repercussions afterwards, which would be, you know, the ridicules that I would receive from sisters, because they have a mouth sharper than no other sword when you get them upset. So when I put it up there, I felt it was needed due to the fact that I came from the aspect of the black woman with God. And when I was developing that mentality, I realized how it gave me a false perception of things. And I felt it was dangerous for me. Because the mind frame that I was developing from listening to that brother or anybody that was teaching that the black woman is God, I felt like it was making me look at the black man differently as, you know, degenerate, just no value. Like, you're just no value here. Like, it's all about me. It made me, like, selfish. So I felt that the teaching of the black woman is God is needed because we've been dominated by a white patriarchal system. But I feel it's the way that you go on about teaching it. When you're teaching that the black woman is God only, I feel like it invokes, you know, lesbianism, homosexuality, feminism, gender confusion, asexuality or non-sexuality, the emasculation of the black man, insanity, and just overall degeneracy within the black indigenous community.
Wow. Now, I didn't want to stop you because you were talking so good, but you're not on speakerphone, are you? Because I'm getting a little feedback.
You know what? I was listening to you guys on YouTube. Your radio show, and I was listening to the Sister Muhammad, and I was trying to take notes, so I had you on speakerphone, and I think and then I took you off speakerphone as soon as you called me in, and it's been having this glitch sound for like the last 15 minutes. So would I have to hang up and call back?
How does it sound, Sister Shabazz? Is it too bad? Do you think we need to go to a break? Do you have a chance to call back, or how does it sound?
I mean, for me, I hear her very well. It's clear, but I do hear the echo.
Okay, we'll try to move on a little further, and if I feel like it gets in, we'll just have you take a break and have you call back. But you said that you were in the conscious community, and I know that you are pretty much well known in the conscious community there in New York. And so you personally, did you have this mindset before you came into the conscious community, or was it the teaching of the conscious community that gave you this mindset?
It was the teaching of the black conscious community that, you know, taught me about the black woman and God.
You know, I want to say that it seems to me it's like a natural process. Maybe there are some steps that people are missing when they're teaching this process, because it's like nothing. It's like anything. For example, if you find out that your adopted child and they've been hiding this from you for years and years, then immediately, you know, the most what is a normal reaction is to be angry at all of those who have carried this lie. That's just a natural reaction. I think that what is missing sometime in many of us, and myself included, in our teaching process is that we forget some of the small steps that are necessary, because our brains have been bombarded so much with such programming. And that so now we're pulling out of a program. We can't just yank out of the program, because that is just as dangerous, you know, as all of this programming that is coming into our heads. So I think it's just been a childlike behavior that has come into this whole idea of what we need to do to make changes in our nation. And it's causing a lot of confusion. It's causing, a lot of mishaps, and that's normal too. When we're trying to build all over again, you're gonna have some mistakes. We're not gonna go without mistakes. But in going back to that statement about the mother is God, that is not a false statement. It's a true statement. It's a good place for us to start the dialogue. But in that saying that is not saying that that the man isn't worthy. I don't know how those got mixed in there together, but it seemed that is what happened in the process of this dialogue that we've all been having now. I'm going to say for at least seriously coming to the table and dialoguing about this for the last 5 years.
I totally agree with you about, taking baby steps. And I feel when people come out of the religious institutions and once you come into the truth as a woman, how we've been oppressed, but we was never oppressed by our men specifically, just by the white male patriarchal system. When I started to, we said the black woman is God and God only, it's because I felt I had to strike back because the feminine energy in my mind was suppressed by this system. So I felt that when I indulged in the black woman is God and I'm superior than a man, it was kind of like I was doing it out of spite, out of hurt. And that doesn't create balance. That just makes a woman that's coming out of a religious institution or just coming into the truth that it's still not balanced to her. Because one minute we went from just worshiping a male, now we just worshiping a female instead of embracing both energy, which is the true essence of the Creator. And I just think it's dangerous to tell women that have, that are just coming into knowledge and say, boom, you're God. I feel you also have to grow your mentality into that type of title too.
Yes,
because some of these black sisters out here cannot carry this title Queen, Empress, or Goddess. That's something you have to develop through your mind and through your evolution. That now you are a goddess.
Right, and that's something that none of us, gods or goddesses, those titles aren't available to us just because we are born. We have to revert back to that through knowledge, through understanding. We become gods. We become goddesses through our wisdom and our knowledge. We have to become that. We're not automatically that just because we're in this realm. That's why the word religion is actually really not a bad word. Religion means to bind back to the source. You have to bind back to the source from which you came.
Well, and that's the mother. That takes you right back to the mother. We're not going to get away from the mother, no matter what we look at.
I'm not trying to get away from the mother at all.
I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that you are, but there are many that are. Because if we're looking at any outside entities, if we're looking into, as you talked about, religion takes us outside of ourselves. It makes us look at something outside of ourselves that we pray outside of ourselves. We have to pray to something to receive something. But the laws are already set up in place that if you think about this long enough, then this is what's going to happen to you. They don't have nothing to do with no outside Allah, no Buddha, no Shamdu Allah, no nothing. It only has to do with the thought, which kind of goes right back to the mother. That thought process, as Sister Najma was talking about, is the thought process that has to go precede. It has to be like Eve. Why is it always Eve? Because Eve is first. Eve means it's Christmas Eve. It's New Year's Eve. Because it's all about the Eve. Before anything else, there was Eve. So I'm just suggesting that in this conversation, I'm real passionate about the fact that it's the mother. No, not no lesbianism or nothing like that. That's less than yourself, less than your being. Why would any mother want to be less than her being when you have been created to be just absolutely fantastic? Why would you want to be that? So it's this concept, a new way of understanding this concept. Well, what was old was good. But now we have to take and connect with that and bring it into a new existence for the new horizon, for we could be right down to the modern times. And we have to tweak a lot of this stuff so that we could find the hidden messages, because we already know that our ancestors did not reveal all of the information. So if they didn't reveal all of the information, then that means that the DNA is locked and encoded inside of us. And we have to be able to unlock that knowledge that is inside of us, because it's with us. because they didn't give them everything. So it's in us right now, and that is the time of the sign of the times that we're living in. That's why so many things are new and feel uncomfortable to us.
Right.
I'm looking for that definition of religion to give the definition of it, because religion basically is not a philosophy. Religion basically, what you taught is about looking outside of ourselves. It's not really what religion is, because the word "re," which means go back, and you can't go back nowhere but inside of yourself. So the true definition of religion has nothing to do with the religion that we think as looking outside of us. So religion in itself is not a bad word. I'm trying to find the definition. It's in my genetic by Robert Nefer Ahmed. At any rate, while I'm looking for that definition, Sister Melanie, what are some of the thoughts that you have now about the whole concept of where we're headed with the black woman as God? Where are we headed with that concept?
To be honest with you, this being on top of the latest conscious topics, lately I haven't been hearing anything directing towards the black woman as God anymore. Ever since me and you had the radio show with the brother, and ever since then it's pretty much died down, where people are gravitating to both male and female. Is God and Goddess of this realm. But is it persisting underground and maybe not, where it's out in the forefront now, not as hot as it used to be? I mean, the only thing I can say is that common sense and truth will always win. Because I was in that mentality that the black woman is only God. But as time went on and I evolved as a person, common sense, and I started to question a lot of things. And, that higher voice, like the sister said, when the ancestors didn't leave everything here for us, it's in our code and we have to break it. And I consider myself to be the chosen one to be on the front line to help us in our liberation. And I feel that as I grew and as I studied more and looked into nature, I like to watch National Geographic. When I started to question myself, I watched a lot of documentaries revolving around nature, and it just kept coming to me that, everything is about the male and female, and I feel like if you're a person that's open to evolving and not keeping the same mind frame, I believe sisters that are embracing that the black woman is only God, that, through time, when they're ready, they'll evolve out of that and they'll accept the fact that it's man and woman that creates life. Or it's the God and Goddess that, that's who we are, and no one is superior than the other. No matter how many arguments people want to make, we need each other, and, there's no way around it. But when people say that black women, we get most of the heat, and I do feel that because the black woman is the teacher, that we should hold most of the heat. Like when the sister was talking about accountability, and I feel sisters only gravitate when they have children. They gravitate to the good qualities of their children, and they don't take blame in that. And then the bad stuff, they'll say, "Oh, it's because of the father or the absent father." Now, if black women are saying that they are complete and they don't need this, then why do black women that embrace this doctrine feel the need to even bring up the black man, or even, why is he a subject of a topic if you're a superior being or if you're to God? And I feel when we indulge in these type of belief systems, we don't really take accountability for the bad things, such as the broken homes, 70% of fatherless homes. And I do hold black women majority accountable for the destruction of black families. Why? Is because black women or any female species is in charge of reproduction, and the black woman is the structure and foundation of the black family. We're the ones who set, the bar high of what we expect from a male, and a lot of us aren't reproducing with alpha black males.
You know,
Well, we not the lawmakers. The mother is the lawmaker, but she is also the language teacher. She is the one who tills the land. You know, she is the one who initiates the love in her heart and in the heart of the nation. And we know that the balance of the love for the mother is out of order when we look out and we see what's going on in this society that we see. Well, that is a clear indication that there is a total disrespect for the mother, because if any brother or sister had respect for a mother, you couldn't bomb no other country, because you know there's mothers over there, and you wouldn't want nobody to treat your mother like that, so you wouldn't do that to another mother. So somewhere along the line, this thought process that we have allowed ourselves to come in contact with, I don't know, to me, it's mainly have been the patriarchal thought process, or the thought process that the so-called, use this word, that the woman came from the man. So therefore, she is the one who is to do everything that, because she has to serve, because he spared her by giving her his rib. Well, I mean, come on. I ain't seen, where's the missing rib at? That's my first question that I usually have. I see he still got both ribs. So something about that story is not real. But yet it's spent into all of our existence. The way that we act at home and abroad is based on the fact that we are what they want to call women and not mothers. Because if the mothers were in charge, it certainly wouldn't be all of this war. If we mad, we got rights to be mad, because we've been ruled over, and we've been ruled over very poorly.
Okay.
I agree.
Basically, where was I going? Basically, I had something on my mind, but I got kind of got thrown off of it. But at any rate, the balance, and I mean basically when you look at the cultures, you have to realize where this thing come from with war and everything. You're not going to be able to get rid of war. You'll never be able to get rid of war. That's what brings imbalance in the universe. I used to tell church people who talked about getting rid of the devil, the only way to get rid of the devil is to get rid of yourself, because you're both. You God and the devil incarnated into one in this realm, because that's what makes this realm real, is the polarity. The moment you get rid of the devil, you cease to exist. The moment you go into a perfect state, you cease to exist. And that's what happens. And if you go into a hospital and you find someone connected to a heart monitor, and you look at that heart monitor, that little thing that's beeping on that heart monitor, it's up and down, up and down. It's never straight. The moment that you have a straight line, that person is out of here. They're out of here. So in order to have harmony or peace within our, this is as Sister Najma said on her open letter of apology to the black man. I didn't play the whole thing, but she was saying, especially when it comes to black men who have no other culture of people have dealt with what we had to deal with from our female counterparts. No other culture has suffered that the way we've had to suffer with. So in bringing a reconciliation, we must grow up and we must be wise about whatever situation and however we handle it. Because when you have the mindset that you are a God, it's not really nothing you really got to talk about too much. You just portray that. You just do that. So, I wanted to bring this issue to light because of the question being asked of why are men upset when they see black women posting stuff about them being God. And Sister Melanin Sutek, do you have anything else to add to the conversation at this moment?
Oh, no, I'm just listening.
Huh?
No, I said no, I'm just listening.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do then is we're going to go to the phones. Najm is gone, but we're going to go to the phones and see what the callers have to say. And what we will do here is we will take a break, and then we will come back. We will come back and go to the phones.
strikes is based on that there are only 15 techniques with which you can strike.
This documentary is about us. It's about our people and where we came from, what we've been doing that is wrong, but also steps to correct it.
When we were brought from our motherland, Africa, one of the jewels that we were not allowed to bring with us was the drum. Because the drum contains spirit.
We have not only become guinea pigs with our food, we have become guinea pigs when it comes to medicine. We are the lab rat for companies.
The worst drugs on the market.
Just deal with it. The best way we can.
We absorb 60% of everything we put on our skin into our bloodstream.
When they do the autopsy on women, that there's a green blob in the organs.
When you're wrong, do it wrong. So we're in America, so we relax and curl our hair.
We have a voice. You need to let your voice be known. You matter.
If you don't have goals, you'll always work for somebody that does have goals.
A lot of people in the streets don't realize that they are born entrepreneurs.
Sometimes I feel trapped too. It's like, what you gonna do when the bills keep rolling in? Sell a quick fix like pills and heroin. Take a chance and appear the grave get buried in. It's all a gamble. Who knows if it ever ends? You see, this is my life, and this is my story. Some of the choices I made were so bad for me. We live and learn, we crash and burn, and then we die. This is my life, and this is my story. Some would say life's a bitch and then you die, but I believe life is a blessing if you give it a...
All right, we're back here in the studio, and that was my sister, Sister T. Alika Hickman. I call her the hardest working woman in Houston, Texas. And that is the documentary put out by that sister called The 16th Strike. And these are 16 things that are against us as a people. And if you want a copy of that DVD, that documentary, you can pick it up at Tony.com. It's TonyHickman.com. TonyHickman.com. It's TonyHickman.com. We're here in the studio with our guest tonight, Melanin Sutek, as we talk about gender wars. We're going to go to our phone, and we see, as always, our good friend here, Brother Cooper Bay. You're on the Know Thyself Radio Network. Talk to us, brother. Just don't talk too long, but you can talk to us.
Peace and love. Thank you, Know Thyself Radio, for accepting me. My dear sibling Warren and Sola Shabazz, my mother. And thank you, Sutet, and the sister before you. I'm just saying tonight, I heard a lot of things, and everybody seems to be reaching out for that connection from balance to who we are and how we are. And I know for a fact, no doubt about it, and it's no disrespect to anybody, that the man, I don't like to use the word black or woman. Let's throw that out the window. Can I say the natural man?
Go ahead. You can speak what you feel. Go ahead.
Okay. The natural man has been abused in this country, something terrible, for at least 450 years that we know of. And as far as the mother, well, should I say more? She's also been abused even worse, to the point of having to see her man, her children, go through them same atrocities. And in fact, there was a mention of Willie Lynch earlier in that letter in 1712, to teach how to tame a slave, referring to the melanated people. Well, you know, if we eat something for a year and get used to it, we become that. You know, you can hate your enemy once they're gone if you've been around them long enough. And what I'm saying to everybody tonight is, everybody's right. Everybody's right. But we're not putting it together. Warren's used balance. I use balance. We all have to have balance. But the real mother needs to be raised and restored to the condition before she was terrorized, treacherized, damned, stoned, cut, just destructed on all levels. And I'm going to tell you something. Like it or not, brothers, the fact is, without your mother, we wouldn't be here. You can't prove it no other way. She is the first teacher. She is and in fact, the reason why I want to let you know that it's losing its savior, because the word God is such loosely used, but it's the mother that is nestled and contained that God as guidance over divinity. It's the sons that are the guidance of divinity, meaning that we have to show that she is the guidance over divinity. So if we don't govern over that divinity or guide of that divinity, be the guidance of the divinity of the mother, then the mother can't restore her guidance over divinity. That's what the gods we're looking for, not this spooky stuff. But we have to come out of that. Put God and the devil out and tell me what you have standing there. You. Without the concept of them two things, you have you. Where it all started, it all began, and it all shall succeed. The God and the devil that you have in your mind has been placed there. The guidance over divinity is you. The guidance of divinity is the male. And if you want to get into balance, we have to search the DNA, because when you look at yourself, you are a sum total of DNA and RNA. You come from the mitochondria of DNA, which represents and created the mitosis, which created the daughter cell that gave rise or birth to the double X chromosome. The male is a defect. And don't take this bad, guys. I mean, come on. The fact of the balance is that you have to take that Y chromosome and fit back into the X chromosome, which is inside the square, which is your 360 degrees, which represents the ninth element, which is the top of the equation of the mental realm. In order to have that balance of your own, you cannot balance. You can't have children. You're not going to have children. And as our sister said earlier about the semen having to come into, she didn't put it this way, but using the semen from the male to fertilize the ovaries in order to have the child, check this out. Go back a little bit further, my dear brother Warren, than Ptah. Go back a little bit further than Egypt. Go to Mesopotamia. So let's deal with the writings on the wall before Egypt even existed, and you will see Enki and Ninti. And Ninti was the mother that the blood was used for the clotting of the Homo erectus, now called Homo erectus, which is actually the Lulu Amalu, the development of the primitive creature, which caused our physical design today of both equations of the male what is it called? The human family. One family called Caucasoid today and Nubian today. Now, you don't have to call yourself nothing but natural if you accept it. Otherwise, you're a corporation, and therefore you are nothing but someone's property. I'm a natural person. When they say Muslim, they're really saying muscles and tissue. And if you look into that, you go to a mausoleum, which is inside of a cemetery, it has a house that houses the muscles and tissues. We have got to get off this spookism, people. Mothers, you're doing a good job, but it's time for the brothers as the guidance of your divinity to do that justice and do the right job, and that's help restore the throne. That's who you are. Now, you want some more of yourself? Come get it in the Seed Dropper Nation. Peace and love.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Peace and love.
All right. On to our next caller, Mother Latrell.
Greetings. This is Mother Latrell Cooper Bay.
Greetings.
Brother Cooper Bay pretty much covered most of what I wanted to say in regards to the mother. But since he covered the mother part, I wanted to mention the fact that I heard the word gender wars and conscious community. In a conscious community, I began to expect a little more as far as language goes. We speak a language that is not ours.
That's right.
If we go back, it's not ours by nature. And in this language that we call English, it's really a syntax. And in this syntax, we use marks like black and woman, which personally never resonated with me on a vibrational level anyway. And now that I have a better and clearer overstanding of why, I would appreciate in the conscious community that we be mindful of that. And I understand some people are at different levels and we need to take baby steps, as one of the sisters mentioned, and bring in us others along the way to a more conscious level. But still, please, let's work on this syntax and be mindful of the words or the marks we choose to use when we're sharing with one another.
Okay.
Now, that was my comment.
All right. Well, let's move to Latrell. Thank you for your comment, Mother Latrell.
You're welcome.
All right. My guest for next weekend, I see Sister Naima. How are you tonight?
I'm wonderful. Enjoying the conversation.
All right. What do you have for us tonight?
Well, I read the letter of apology to the black man by Sister Najma, and I certainly agree with everything she said. But I have a question.
Okay.
I see that in most religions, as has been stated, it's patriarchal and puts women in a subservient role. And yet, we know that it's the mother who teaches the ethics and moral values to the children. Why are we collectively as women continuing to support the ideas of our subservience in the raising of our sons and daughters so that we're perpetuating the very systems that subjugate us? We have the opportunity to transform the entire society based on what we choose to teach our children. So why are we collectively choosing to perpetuate these ideas that give the thought that we are lesser than the equal partner that we are with our male counterparts? And is it a matter of those who are indoctrinated to such a degree that they're afraid to change the teaching? And if that's the case, how do we reach out to our sisters who are, in fact, perpetuating our oppression through the teachings of their children and of their selection of men who, in fact, oppress them? How do we change the situation so that the next generation of children that are raised think differently?
Okay. Anybody have a Sister Melanin? You got an answer for that? Sister Shabazz?
Yes, allow our guests. Go right ahead, my sister. You can respond, and I'll have an answer as well.
Well, being a mother and raising a goddess myself, the best way to teach this next generation and to make them stronger than what we are is just to teach them overall history. And when it comes to teaching them about anything about a god or a goddess, like you said, it's about not trying to subjugate our equal partner on this realm. So when I teach my daughter about God and goddess, she knows it consists of man, woman, and child, and that's the way I teach. I don't educate her on someone is superior than the other, or I just don't want to partake in a gender war. And I'm not saying that the teaching of the black woman as God is a problem. I'm saying teaching that she's the only God is the problem, because we should uplift the black woman and letting her know her greatness and what her divine position is. A lot of us, we're not raised in understanding ourselves. So once we fix the woman, we fix the nation.
Well, that's certainly true. I find it difficult for us to transcend wrong teachings if we're in fact supporting the wrong teachings that come through religions that have been distorted from their original revelations into the misunderstandings of those who are not as spiritually evolved as those upon whom the religion was inspired. The ascended souls who came to teach, once they left this physical earth plane, their teachings were distorted back to the same misconceptions, and we, the women, are the ones that are supporting the religious institutions that continue to teach the wrong spiritual understanding. So how do we end that cycle, especially if those teachings are infused with fear, so that you're indoctrinated from the time you're born to not question, otherwise you're threatened to be punished with hell. So once you're indoctrinated with that fear, you dare not even deviate from what you've been taught. How do we break that cycle of fear so that we can help our sisters elevate the next generation as you're doing with your children?
Yeah, what I would say is that, one is that this is the beginning of a step, is us mothers beginning to have an open and honest dialogue about what we need to do. We need a council of mothers, a council of 9 mothers that need to come together and not have all of the things that have been thrown into us, those programs, that jealousy, that envy, and all of those things that have been put inside of us. If we can work through those, if we can handle confronting one another and ourselves to overcome those things. And see, we have, because of all of the religion and misconceptions of what the mother's position is, we are filled with all of those type of things that will not allow us to unite with one another in order to build the type of nation that's necessary for us to go forward and really build. So, like yourself, it's a call. This is a call out for those sisters who want to stand together and want to say, look, we want to take back our mothership. We want to put this
I like that.
Put things in place the way they need to be put, and to speak it clear. Yes, we're going to, in this process, unfortunately, because we have a lot of people who have self-esteem problems. We have brothers who have, our sons have self-esteem problems, but they have self-esteem problems because the mother has self-esteem problems.
That's right.
So,
yes.
So if we can just look at the correction that we have to do with ourselves, and we can really build a strong community of mothers, and that's what it's going to take.
Well, I certainly would love to have you on our show in the morning. I have a dear friend that's on, but I love her, but she's also been indoctrinated with that church philosophy, that hell and damnation, and all of that fear infusion that keeps us from becoming spiritually free. And I would love for you to be able to expand on knowledge that can help us transcend some of that indoctrination so that we can, in fact, take back our mothership. I think that a lot of good sisters really can do much better if they could be freed from that fear factor that keeps them from changing the thoughts of the children that we're raising. Because until we can get rid of the problems that we have, we can't make the changes in the future. And we don't even make the right choices as to who deserves to plant their seed to grow the next generation. So all of us have to collectively be conscious, and I think we have to be willing to have that dialogue and uncover those things. So I'm certainly inviting you, and after this show, I'd like to, talk to you further about that, because I think that it's time for us to make that transition. One last question that I have, when it comes to that apology, and I love that apology letter, but then there's also, again, that taking responsibility for our low self-esteem that makes us attack our brothers, or even choose brothers that don't have high regard for us because we don't have high regard for ourselves. How do we get to that point of taking responsibility for the reality that we have created? So many women want to point fingers of blame and attack the men, but the men were raised by mothers. So how do we get to a point where we can take responsibility for having created this condition that we're living in?
Ooh, that's a good question. And I would say, like another mother has to go help another mother with her child. If you don't have a son and you want to make a difference in the energy of this earth, go help another mother with her son. That's how you help, because you can help her raise a good son for somebody else. That's how you break the energy. You can't raise no grown man. You can't re-educate him, but you can go back and help your other sisters and help them raise the type of sons that we need to carry on for the next 7 generations.
Exactly.
Yes.
I totally agree with it. Once again, if you look into nature, I was watching a documentary about lions, and when the women don't have a male present, they have a pride that consists of mothers and daughters, and they raise the generation. So they double up in numbers for protection, and a set goes hunting, and then the younger daughters stay behind and watch. So they work as a group. So, like she said, if a man is not present, just helping your sister, we can still raise strong men, because I don't think homosexuality stems from a single-parent home. There's no studies that support that, and the black women or women in general has been raising kids due to maybe certain circumstances without the presence of a male, and there hasn't been no homosexuality.
Right. That's a totally different manifestation of something else.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you both.
Well, before you go, Sister is Naima, right? Or
Naima, yes. Naima.
For some reason, I have a feeling that we know each other. I'm originally from Chicago, and were you involved with the Nation of Islam maybe almost 20 years ago?
Well, I'm sure we met. Your voice sounds familiar. And I did a lot of work with the nation when Minister Farrakhan was introducing the Power program.
Yes, at the final call. Yes.
Okay. Yes. A lot of work.
Well, we know each other.
I'm sure we do. The world is very small. We're all connected. We're all one
I look forward to talking to you, and nice to reacquaint with you, my sister.
Yes, ma'am. Likewise. Look forward to reacquaintance. We're on this road together for a purpose.
Yes, thank you, my brother Warren.
All right, well, y'all, that's Sister Naima Latif. Sister Naima Latif, and she will be with us next week, part 2, and she is the host of the Female Solution on Blog Talk and the author of the book, The Female Solution. So we're looking forward to having her next week as we continue this discussion on gender wars.
Yes,
thank you for calling, sister, and I can't wait for next week to get in here so we can further the conversation.
Oh yes, I'm excited. I can't wait myself. So, all right, look forward to it.
All right, sister. Thank you for calling.
Thank you so much.
Okay, our next caller, Sister G. Talk to us.
Yes, peace and love. How y'all doing?
Peace and
love. How are you?
Doing wonderful. I was listening to the call. I didn't get to catch from the very beginning. However, I enjoyed what I heard so far. And I do have a question, or I guess it could turn to a question. So I kind of question comment. But it's in reference to my question is, why is it that it has to be looked upon as, if you're looking at the melanated mother and you're saying that she is God, why is that looked upon as not being equal in nature, or let me see how I want to write this. Yeah, because it's really not no competition at all. So why does it have to be looked at as a competition if you want to uplift mothers? And the other way around is not a competition. That's my question. Like, is that really not showing love? If you say I'm going to uplift my mother, I'm going to tell her and show her why she is the goddess, first God, and by me saying that does not mean that I'm not uplifting my brother. That doesn't mean that he has no place or he is not of importance, because that's totally not the case. But that was my question. Like, why is it looked upon like that, or in that sense, like the melanated mother cannot be God because that means not being fair. Like that's my question. Is that, or am I understanding that correctly?
Okay, sister, who's your question?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
no, what I wanted to say to the sister is that the reason why it's looked at as a competition when teaching the black woman is God, it's the individuals that are spreading the message and the content that they're using when they're explaining that the black woman is God. The way they are teaching it, it will make a male feel as if they have to go against or defend themselves against the Great Mother. When I listen to, for example, Sarah Sudesetti teaching that the black woman is God, at the aspect in the way he teaches the black woman is God, it doesn't emasculate, oppress the black man. He's getting into the information of the divine mother, and that gives the black man momentum. Like, yeah, the black woman is God, and I have to defend her. I think it is the teaching that is making it competitive. On teaching if the black man is God, no, the black woman is God, instead of saying we're both gods equally.
Okay, so you saying it from a sense of eliminating the combativeness, basically coming at it from that perspective. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I can't see it from that. And however, when you look at based off of how our society is and how things have been.
Give me just 1 second. Give me just 1 second. Okay. We're about to go into overtime. So those of you that are listening, if you want to catch in, you need to call in now. You have about a minute. 347-633-9282. 347-633-9282. You need to call in now. If you want to catch the last few minutes of this show, we have maybe 1 or 2 more callers before we go off the air, and we're going to give them a chance to make their statement, ask their question. So if you want to catch the rest before we go off, call in now. 1 minute. 347-633-9282. Go ahead, Sister Chief.
Yes, sir. Thank you. What I was saying is, it's based off of how society is now. A lot of the patriot, you know, this the whole patriot mindset, patriotism. And when you come at it from a matriarchal standpoint, it is a little off-putting for other people. But why is that? It's because it's unfamiliar. It's because it makes them nervous. And it also is what other people would look at it as a surrender of power, like one is weaker over the other, which is not the case. Because when you spoke about nature and you spoke about, you know, mimicking nature, and when we look at nature and we mimic nature, it shows all the feminine characteristics that, you know, life is. Just the way the animals, the way they handle everything, birds and how the lions and all the different wild animals out there, it's about the mother. And we must get back to nature because we are out of nature. We live in concrete homes. People barely want to go outside with air conditioning, heater, wigs, perms, all these different things, fake food, aborted fetuses food, like, you know what I'm saying, all these different avenues in which the mother is getting attacked. So I think it is important to stress that more than anything because it's so much you got to pull through, and that's something that can activate another part in the mind of mothers. So they need to know that they are who they are, and sometimes it will offend others. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, we uplifting a nation. If your feelings hurt, then move around. That's just how I feel about it. But thank you. I enjoyed your point of view, and thank y'all for allowing me to speak on the show today.
Thank you.
All right, sister. Thank you for calling in. And we're going to our next call, which is Peter. You're on the Know Thyself Radio show. Talk to us.
I am definitely going to be the voice of dissent in all of this. I've heard a lot of things tonight that I really have not liked. I really do believe that African Americans are too magical and too spiritual, and we have deviated so much away from being tethered to reality that we now have this inability to solve our problems. One of the things that one of the women said earlier that I thought was profound was and I've been making this statement a long time, was where she was talking about the the idea and the concept that black women are God, and it's like if they were God, then there would be no reason to bring men into the conversation because everything would just simply be done. Now, going to the other woman who was talking about how the women are the rock and the foundation and they till the soil. I mean, when she said till the soil, first thing in my mind, I was like, where are you tilling the soil? Where is this getting done? What fields do you own and control? Where is this land, and what are you tilling? Like, is it soybeans? Is it beans? Like, where is this going on? Because it's not going on. The reason, in terms of equality, the reason why equality does not work is because men are the ones who lay down the physical foundations in any given community. This is why the world is patriarchal. Now, this isn't going on in the African American community. We have a collapsed, a broken patriarchy, which was by design because no other patriarchy wants to be challenged by an intact, thriving patriarchy where they're competing in the global markets out here. Okay, women are not going to build roads. They're not going to build hydroelectric power plants, the infrastructure. I hear a lot of women talking about being strong and independent. I'm like, well, you're not going to be strong and independent until some men get finished building the building that you're going to be strong and independent in and putting the air conditioning unit on the rooftop so that you can be in there and be comfortable. Okay? These are the things that men are supposed to do, and they don't do it. And the reason why equality doesn't work or the idea of matriarchy and things like that is because it's entirely too much work for men to lay down the foundations in any given community. It's too much work. Nobody is going to go out here and bust their behind off to establish something and then just hand you the keys because you think that your humanity should be recognized. It's not going to happen. The problem with why black men don't value black women currently as they should, or the black woman doesn't have any place higher than any other race of woman, is because black men are not passing anything on through the black woman. The black woman is not the facilitator of any structure that the black man currently is not building nor maintaining. So if we don't build it, it doesn't get done. Okay, and the thing is a lot of women really have a hard time with that concept. And I understand why they have a hard time with that concept, because if you look at the black community right now, what is being built and maintained? Nothing. There's everything in the world to make a black woman think that she's equal to her man, because unlike other races of men, black women are not dependent on black men for their survival. They don't get sustenance from us. They don't get jobs from us. They don't get economic opportunities from us. All right? We don't create economic opportunities for the children. So as a result, you know, they're like, well, why can't I be equal? It makes sense why they would think that, but when you really look at the structural aspect, not the spiritual, not the metaphysical, not the spookyism, not the Afrocentric, when you look at the structural aspect, you can clearly see that the reason why all of this is not working is because black men are not laying down the foundations in the community, and women are not dependent on black men for their survival.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
I like that fire he just bought. I like that.
Well, you know, I'm going to say that one thing that really got me was when he used words like African American. Peter used words like African American, and what is an African American? That's a consumer, as far as I can see, because that's what an African American does.
I'm not getting into the semantics of that. I don't want to get into the semantics of defining who is who. What I'm saying is a group of black people who were brought to this country. The men within the community don't control anything. This is one of the reasons why we can't control, you know, the black youth. Like one of the women we were talking about, women going after the wrong guys or the thugs. Well, why wouldn't they go after those guys? The thugs and the drug dealers and the dope dealers are the closest thing to a black male power structure or hierarchy that exists in the community, because the educated men aren't even there. They went off to join another patriarchy and enjoy the creature comforts of that society. That's what patriarchies create. And the thing is what people are trying to do is they're trying to convince black people to with words to be confident about themselves and feel that they are true mothers and everything. And it's real beautiful, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, look at how white women are promoted.
Why are white women arrogant and confident? White women are arrogant and confident because they got a whole media machine behind them that tells them and everybody else that they're the most beautiful woman on the face of the planet. Okay? There is no way for black women to walk around with no media machine, no promotion, and be confident about themselves. Now, when I break that down, the women are like, oh, yeah, you all need to go off and you need to build that as black men. But again, black men are not going to do that from a subordinate position. It's impossible for them to do. Okay, let's go with the matriarchal concept. So the black woman gets the resources that she gets from white men because she gets jobs from white men. She gives the resources to the black man so that he can go off and build her a pedestal and then help her up on it. How does that work? It doesn't work. It just doesn't. It doesn't work. The men have to lay down the foundation. Women cannot raise children in the vacuum of space. If men do not provide the safe and secure environment for them to raise children in, they can't do their job. A lot of women have a problem with me talking about patriarchy, but if black men do not do their job, women cannot do theirs. And for further evidence, I direct you to your nearest black community, which is matriarchal, and 80-some% of black kids are being raised currently by single black mothers. Doesn't work.
Wow. Okay.
Well, brother,
no way around
it. On Facebook? Can you have me on Facebook? You on Facebook? I don't mean to cut it off, but can you have me on Facebook?
You're gonna have to. You're just gonna have to come to GenerationX.net.
GenerationX.net.
Generation-X.net. That's where you're gonna have to come.
What do you do at Generation? Generation.
We talk about all this stuff. We blog. We talk about all
this. What is it, brother? Generation. What is it?
Generation-X.net. And just I use excessive amounts of profanity, even though I technically speaking shouldn't when I'm over there. But I have a lot of frustrations about the African American community. We've covered every aspect of what the situation is. A lot of black women are uncomfortable with black male leadership and the idea of being dependent on black men because there's no structure. Why? Think about it. If a person that you learn to disrespect or not to be, not to have any deference for. Why on God's green earth would you want to be dependent on that individual? For the very person that you never see establishing anything, even for themselves. They don't have an economy. They don't have their own media. They don't promote themselves. They don't manufacture or produce things. You got black people running around talking about building black nations. We're the original man and pyramids vibrating at a higher frequency. If white people wanted to reinstitute slavery tomorrow, they could because black people don't even manufacture weapons to defend themselves. See, the thing is you cannot get away from the realities of the earth. It's nothing wrong with being spiritual and metaphysical and all that other stuff. Right. But when you're not focused on the brass tacks, when you're not focused on the foundations that you actually need, so that you're actually standing on something tangible and physical, you've already lost because all you have is nothing but hearts and Care Bears and feelings and buckets of positivity. And again, I direct you to your nearest black community as to where that's gotten us. It does not work. You need a foundation. You need a structure. And the thing is that structure, it has to be supported by an economy, okay? And the problem with a lot of brothers going around here, with the whole magical, metaphysical stuff, the problem with that is you got a lot of broke dudes who are broke and like to use all that other stuff to get the women that they want because, it pulls on the heartstrings and emotions and stuff like that. And people really feed into that because, nobody really wants to face the fact that all this other hard work has to be done. See, it's easy for anybody to go up there and talk about metaphysics and Afrocentric higher frequencies and Zulu mass and all of that. That's easy. That's the easy part. The hard part is going off and getting 5 black men who got disposable income and aren't locked into the whole child support system or got too many mouths to feed, who got $5,000 to put together so that you can own up a corner store and kick the Asians out and move your ass in there and sell your products to your own people. That's the hard part. That's the hard part.
Brother,
you know what I'm saying? But the cats, they want to roll out here with pyramids of Egypt and Giza and Orion's belt and the Anunnaki mother's spaceship that done come down from the sky and how we all gonna get on it and God's gonna throw a lightning bolt and solve everything. What? First off, even now I ask people. I don't like to get into the whole religious, but I ask people all the time. I say, what has God done for black people in the last 800 years? 800 years, all the messed up stuff that other groups have done, and I ain't seen not one lightning bolt. Not one lightning bolt. But yeah, black people, oh well, we can't do that because that's morally irreprehensible. We run around scared of a God that won't smite our enemies that are screwing us up on a daily basis. But yet that's the God we run to. That's the God we worship. I'm like, get real. We need to get off of the spirituality. We need to focus on the situation on the ground, the problems at hand, which are economical. Every social problem that you want to think of in the African American community, not to say that spirituality doesn't have a place, but 90% of the problems in the African American community are directly tied to the lack of economics. There's no economic. Women are talking about, I'm raising my son to be, a good black man, and I'm like, and when he turns 18, what economic opportunities have you created for him to walk into so that he can be the man to go off and support a family or support a black woman? They ain't got no answer for me for that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you teach them if they don't have the tools. Like, they don't need a spiritual hammer. They need a physical hammer. And I'm sorry if I'm going off, but I had to sit through a whole bunch of nuts and berries.
The heat.
Let me say this. I'm going to get with you because I definitely want you to come back because this is the kind of message I'm trying to get over. I don't mind the spirituality. I don't mind understanding the spirituality. But we have to build, and the reality of the situation, a lot of the stuff we talk, and even me, when we go off into the pyramids and all this, I'm a law student, and I will tell you this about the law. Anything that you cannot prove is hearsay. So what are we all in right now in the here and now? Right here and now is a patriarchal society. Now, I can't deny the facts of the mother because it's proven. But the situation we are in now is what needs to be fixed. And I thank you for your comments. Powerful.
I just want to say this. I just want to say this before I go. I'm saying, in terms of, nobody's saying that black women don't have any value, that they're nobody. Right. But I'm saying at the end of the day, if men do not lay the foundations down, if they do not set it up, if they do not protect the black woman, right, then the black woman is just out there by herself. And what women need to understand is men are not. They're just not. And I'm saying you can look at the community and see this. Men are not going to do that from a position of equality or subordinate position because it's entirely too much work. Nobody's going to go out there and build you a foundation, build you a castle, build you a shrine, and then just hand you the keys and let you run it. How would a woman even run or manage or be in charge of a community that she does not physically create? How does that happen? It's impossible. And one of the problems with the women and some of the guys that they're choosing because they don't believe in male leadership, because they want to get with these guys who aren't in the proper position because that allows them to call the shots, is generationally the situation that has been created is now we have a situation where you have no knowledge of how to maintain the physical structure being passed on to the next generation of boys. There's no legacies. There's no lineage. There's no wealth being passed on generationally. There's nothing that says, okay, this is how you start a business, son. This is the next step. This is how you maintain the community. You need to go now that I gave you my business with our name on it, call it, Jamal and Jacobs. Okay, you're going to go out there and you're going to get with a sister who's going to produce another black child for you. And if you have a son, you pass it on to that son. And if you have a daughter, you hope that she goes out and finds another black man in the community who's doing the same thing. But as I direct you to in this black community, ain't nobody doing that. Ain't nobody else doing that. So even if you go out here and you grab the blackest woman you can find with a plate in her lip and a bone in her nose and a big giant afro, guess what? You are all by yourself because there's no community. It's just you on an island, regardless of how Afrocentric you may want to be. You're by yourself. There's nobody else for you to network with. There's nobody else for you to call up and say, hey, I need to make this move. I got to do this because the white boys are trying to jam me up and they put roadblocks in my way. You're by yourself. So, this is the problem that goes on here. This is why you have brothers who believe that they can get with white women and put their seed wherever they want and one drop rule themselves. That's because if you don't have a community, if there's no black infrastructure, if you're not passing on wealth and trying to keep it black, then it doesn't matter where you put your seed. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't. People want to go into the metaphysical magic of it, and I'm like, I guess you could go in that direction at that point, but I'm just saying, with no structure, it's only a matter of time before the other communities come over the horizon and say, what's in your wallet, and then that's the end of us.
That's right.
So that's all I gotta say. I didn't mean to hijack your show or rant. I just had to get that off my chest.
No, brother, I appreciate you coming. Matter of fact, I'll get with you generation-x.net or either drop me an email, WarrenHouston@KnowThyselfRadio.net. I'd like to bring you back on the show and we get more off into it because this is basically what I want to do with this show. We have to get in the mindset.
You said KnowThyself.net?
Yeah, Know Thyself Radio. Warren Houston is WarrenHouston, Warren Houston @KnowThyselfRadio.net.
All right, Warren Houston
Drop me an email.
Know Thyself .radio.
Know Thyself Radio. KNOWTHYSELF Radio.net.
Okay. Yeah. And just so you know, if you all have heard of me and I've gone and I've probably said stuff that I regret in the past, but this is Sergeant Williepete.
Who is that?
Sergeant Williepete.
What did you say your name was? Williepete.
Sergeant Williepete. Yeah, you'll find out, and there'll probably be people who will say don't talk to him or whatever. But I'm past all that. So, yeah. I mean, we've all, like I said, we've gone at this from every angle, and there's certain things that are used that are. It's not that they're useless, but as it pertains to challenging some of the things that we have to challenge out here, they serve no purpose. Until we get a foundation set up, I mean, even if you have a religion or a church or whatever you have, until a church costs money. You know what I mean? You can't even have a place to worship until you build yourself a building, which means you're going to need raw materials. But see, people don't want to focus on that. They'll say, well, we can have faith without a church because it's not about a church. And then I'm like, when you're sitting out there in the rain with your and words are bleeding off of your page, people want to say that that's all they need. I'm like, okay.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the point I was making myself, basically, about the semantics of words. A lot of these things that we're arguing about is not going to get a nation built. It's not going to get a nation changed. Even with the aspect of, and we have to use, in everything we do, we have to use common sense. We have to sit around and look at what's in front of us, what's around us. And whether we like it or whether we realize it or not, we're in a patriarchal, male-dominated society. So in order to come out of it, you're not going to automatically just kick against it and automatically come out.
But don't
operate from the point that you're in. Because one thing I've realized,
I'm saying don't say that like patriarchy is a bad thing. I'm at the end of the day, because men do the building, everything is going to default to a patriarchal structure.
That's what I get that from my understanding of the comedic sciences. We are builders. We are logic. We are thinkers. Woman is spirit. Man is logic. So we build. Right. That's what we do. So that doesn't change.
I'll give you a way to put it. Men are the builders and maintainers.
There are mothers who can build things. There are mothers who can build houses. There are mothers who can who are architects. There are mothers
at the collective level.
There are mothers who are who can sludge, use a jackhammer. I know personally mothers who can swing axes just as good as any.
Oh my God!
So there are mothers who are.
There are no lines of black women trying to work in a coal mine. Okay, that's what I'm saying. At the collective, I get what you're saying. Yes, there are some exceptional women out there, but at the collective level, you're not going to see women out here doing that type of stuff. And then what do you think is going to happen to women when you put them in the trenches like that? You don't put the women who birthed your children in the trenches like that.
And mothers have been defenders of their land. So if you want to talk about
oh my God, this is what I'm talking about. These are the delusions of grandeur. I don't mean to insult you, but
even to right now.
No, you're wrong. I direct you to your nearest black community. If black women can do all this, then how come the black community looks screwed up? If you all are equal to men in every capacity, then how come you haven't replaced black men in every capacity?
I don't say that we're equal. You didn't hear me say that I'm equal. I don't say that. You're saying
that black women are equally as capable of doing everything that I just laid out as black men, and that is not the case, not at the collective level. You're not going to have women going out here and building skyscrapers in the black community just because they're pissed off at what I'm saying. Okay, just because what I say sounds sexist. They're not going to do that. And I'm saying I'm not basing this off of a hypothetical. I'm basing this off of the current conditions of the black community. The current conditions, okay? You know, it's been 40, 50 years of single mothers raising children all by themselves. And as you can see, they can't even raise their sons to be the so-called on-point men that they need for the next generation because, again, they have nothing set up for these boys. When these boys walk out there, there's no economic opportunities for any of these boys in Camden, New Jersey, or North Philly, or South Philly, or whatever, the South Side of Chicago. Right? I don't even know Chicago, but I'm just saying, you got Chief Keef and all that other stuff because there are no economic opportunities. And the audacity of stand up and act like they've been building foundations is absurd.
We have to bring our brother back, but I'm going to ask one thing in that. Yes, we got to bring him back. But he gotta be able to listen to the mothers. He gotta yield the floor somewhere.
Argument. We'll be back and forth. We'll be back and forth all night. Peter, I thank you for calling in.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Drop me a line, brother. Hit me up. I'm definitely gonna bring you back. Hit me up, and we'll talk. All right. Thanks, brother. I appreciate your comment because this is what I'm talking about, the reality of the thing. I don't think nobody's trying to disrespect the mother. Everybody understands the mother principle. We need to build, and we need to deal with the reality that's before us. Our next caller is area code 954, last four digits 9798. You're on the Know Thyself radio show. State your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, good evening, and I am the cosmic philosopher.
BC Worldview, Mr. Tim Aldrin. How's it going, my brother?
Yes, I am calling from Florida, and I host the show here on Tuesdays. Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I tell folks that join Mr. Warren Houston on Sunday nights at 8 Central, right? And I said, look, he's talking about stuff that you really want to know, and I've been listening. And I said, wow, so true. Know Thyself Radio Network. You know what I mean? But what impressed me about the talk, based on what I see in the world today and in the United States, the United States represents a macrocosm in and of itself. It has a whole lot of people from all over the world, all kind of different nations and types of people in the United States. And if I take you down to Jamaica, although Jamaica is such a small country, but it takes up the same pattern of a macrocosm of itself. Now, within Jamaica, you have a lot of little microcosm groups. And I see the same thing in the United States, a lot of little microcosm groups. You can't find people to develop into a solid microcosm that represents the entire macrocosm of the United States. And this is I see the real problem. I am blown away with what the brother was saying. He had a diarrhea of the tongue of just letting out logic after logic after logic. That, you know what I mean? You just can't contain the amount of logic that the brother is putting out. And I am looking and say, well, you know what happened? look at the situation that the brother is talking about. So true, but yet still, it is all falling within a small selective microcosm within many other microcosm, and when they talk about black women and what we would advocate for the women. One thing came to my mind is Jim Jones. Jim Jones took 1,000 people down to Guyana, and I didn't realize until lately that most of them were black women.
Yep.
In the church from California, So it's one of the problems that we have where if you go back and you look at where we are coming from, let's say, over the past 100 years in the United States, we are coming out of slavery. And we have the culture that was taught to us over like about some 400 years of slavery. And we are basically controlled by the religion, the Christian religion, you see. And look at how many of our black people forget the origin of our history and are now sold out to the European Christian religion, and they actually believe that their creator is who the Bible is talking about. And many say that Christianity was in Africa before the Romans, and they are defending this slavery, church and stuff like that. We have, as I say, I listened to the brother and what he was saying, and I understand that the women are trying, to uphold their dignity that they really need. But guess what? The Bible that they are clutching has taken away their dignity. It is the Bible with God that takes away a woman, not just black women, but all women. But specifically when we talk about the black disenfranchised, people who are coming out of so many 100 years of slavery, right? And still clutching the very thing that put us into the bad situation. It's not done. Slavery mentality or treatment by the white people is not done. It is alive and well, and if you try to go out and get yourself, both the woman and the man in this country still, if you go out and try to advance yourself, a few people make it. But the majority are still suffering from being, from getting racist treatment in high places. So we are still limited. So the problem that we are having is a serious one. But I want to tell these, especially these black sisters, the Bible that you're having and say you're going to church, it is the God in the Bible that cursed the Eve, right? If you believe in Eve, it is God that cursed Eve instead of forgiving her. If God had forgiven Eve, and, if this were true, if he had forgiven Eve, then the world would be righteous, you see? So, but the problem is for us to understand that the Bible that we have and think that we are worshiping and reverencing God, that's not what our history tells us. World history doesn't tell us anything that the Bible is saying about God with Adam and Eve. None of that. And the Bible is only 1,700 years old. So one of the things I wish to say to add to this discussion is that we need to get out of the churches because religion is used to control us. We need the right religion that started in the civilizations long ago. They came up with AD Anno Domini religion, and we need to get out of it and get back to our real religion of old time that can unite all people. These religions will not unite us, and because we are treated the way we do, the more we join into the religion of the European Holy Christian Bible, we are never going to get out of the situation we are in. Never. And the brother talks about, for us to have a structure, an economic structure. It will never happen. Not the way it's going right now. So I just want to thank you, ladies. And like I said, I am pro-woman, because, you are who brought us into the world. And every day I'm advocating for the woman's dignity. But that brother was really telling us something a while ago. And I am adding to it that we need to get out of the religion, straighten our head out with our history, go back to our world history and not religious books, because we are never going to be accomplishing anything. And what he was talking about, all the logic that he was putting out, unless we come out of this mentality that we have, like he says, put away the spirituality and stuff like that. These people think that they hold this God of the Bible, which is purely allegorical, an obligation to pray to him and go to church. And when you go to your history, you will find out none of this church thing is true. And Warren will tell you the Bible has a lot of good books in it, but not Genesis creation story with a God who created heaven and earth in 6 days. You better get away from that stuff. So thank you very much. And this is such a great show. I'm glad to be a part of the Know Thyself Radio Network. I'm into knowing myself too. But look, we have problems. We need to work personally on the problem, but know that if we just continue the way it is right now, we are not going to straighten out. We have big problems and bigger stuff to talk about, so we are not to play with the small things that not getting us anywhere. But we must deal with ourselves first, learn our history, know ourselves, and that's what Warren and this program is about. And I want to thank you very much for allowing me to have so much to say. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. That is part of Know Thyself Radio On. That's Mr. Tim Aldred, BC Worldview with Tim Aldred, who's on the Know Thyself Radio Network every Tuesday from 1 to 3 Pacific, 3 to 5 Central, and 4 to 6 Eastern Time. Here every Tuesday at www.knowthyselfradio.net or 347-633-9282. Thank you, Tim, for your comments for tonight. This has just been an awesome night. It was one that I really didn't want to do. I felt like I dreaded to do. I'm into building, and I want all the sisters to understand. I love all of you. So I don't want you all to think after this show in any way that I don't have any love for you. I'm for the upliftment of the sisters 100%. But I will not, and I do not accept the concept that the woman is the mother and I'm her child. I don't get that. I don't get with that. In using the common sense and looking around us in the reality of the situation we are in, we have to work from where we are. And there's certain things I would love to say, but I don't even want to say it on the air. There's certain things I would love to say that we need to wake up and deal with the situation from where it's at. And this thing is to me is very petty when we have to go back and forth. Well, you did this, he did that, and there is no accountability or responsibility. But I definitely like the brother Peter who came in tonight, and basically, and I say that because he spoke a lot of sentiments of where I'm trying to come from. And I'd like to thank my guest tonight, Sister Najima Muhammad, beautiful woman, beautiful lady. And I know, and I can attest to her, especially after the things that I know that she's been through, to get up and speak the way she do. If anybody should be angry, and because I know things that she's been through, even especially with men, to have the attitude that she has, she should definitely be an angry black sister, but she's not. And that's really powerful to me. And definitely my guest, Melanie Sutek, very powerful sister. Melanie, do you have any last words, closing words for the show tonight?
The only thing I want to say is I want to thank you for inviting me on this wonderful show. I learned a lot, and to the sister that was speaking, I love your fire, I love your ambition, and I love the way you just want to always make sure that we acknowledge the mother, because through this system we have lost sight of that. And I'm not against that the black woman is God. I'm just against teaching that the black woman is the own God, and using it as a platform to degrade our black men and making them feel like they're not needed when we're both equally needed in this war and for our liberation and for the betterment of our future.
All right. Well, thank you for for being a part of the show tonight, man. If you look around nature, if you want to use nature for an example, I mean, hey, if you with that, you get with that. You know, you got the queen ant. You know, the whole mound is building for the ant. You got the queen bee, the whole the hive, everything is working for the queen bee. But I'm out there. I'm like them lions in that African field. I'm an alpha male. That's the way I operate, and I'm gonna be that alpha male. That's not gonna change. And to my lovely co-host, Sister So Love Shabazz, Sister, do you have any closing remarks for us tonight?
Well, thank you. It was definitely a very stimulating opportunity to share in this lesson tonight, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you to all of the powerful mothers who came on and shared with us and shared in their words and their own spirit and energy. And I'm grateful for that. It is, I just say that, rise up, oh mothers. And when the mothers rise up, everyone else rise up. And to my beloved son, Peter, I agree with him that we need physical work. Physical work is absolutely important. But if the mothers is not straight, then as you already see, there's no physical work. So I say strive. Be Islam, not a religion, but I self-law am master. 13 love.
All right, y'all. Sister So Love Shabazz, and for me, and the Know Thyself Radio Network, Mr. Tim Aldred, my guest, Melanin Sue Tech. One more thing. Come back with us next Sunday as we continue this topic. Our guest next Sunday on the same topic will be the Christ Minister and Naima Latif of the Female Solution, who is the host of the Female Solution on Blog Talk and the Female Solution, the author of the book, The Female Solution. So with that being said, we're going to take it on out here tonight with a little Ice Cube and Yo-Yo, Bonnie and Clyde. Good night.
Yeah.